Today, the United States commands an economy worth over $20 trillion and maintains a military footprint spanning more than 70 countries. This chart shows global GDP over 2,000 years. For 18 centuries, wealth remained heavily concentrated in India and China. But on the far right, everything shifts. The United States surges past every other nation to claim a massive share of the global economy. How did a fragmented collection of 13 British colonies achieve in 150 years what took ancient empires millennia to build? This dominance was built through a calculated series of maneuvers: rapid territorial expansion, the strategic leverage of foreign conflicts, and a systematic effort to monopolize global talent. Immediately following independence in 1776, American leaders recognized that to compete on the global stage, they needed massive amounts of physical land. This territorial ambition came with a staggering human cost. European colonizers introduced devastating diseases like smallpox and influenza, which decimated 80 to 90% of the Native American population. With indigenous resistance severely weakened, the government accelerated its land grab. They absorbed Texas, overthrew the Kingdom of Hawaii to secure a Pacific foothold, and purchased Alaska from Russia for just $7.2 million. By extending their borders from the Atlantic to the Pacific, the United States secured an almost endless domestic supply of timber, coal, iron, and crude oil. They fed those raw materials into a manufacturing boom, building the railroads, dams, and steel mills that rapidly industrialized the nation. By claiming and exploiting an entire continent's worth of resources, the United States built the physical foundation required to support a global economic engine. During the first half of the 20th century, 2 world wars reduced the major powers of Europe, Britain, France, Germany, and Italy, to rubble. The United States sat safely across the Atlantic, completely untouched by the fighting. Instead of rebuilding their own infrastructure, the U.S. put its untouched industrial base to work, manufacturing weaponry and ammunition to sell for a profit to desperate allied nations. As the wars drained the European powers of their gold reserves, their local currencies collapsed. To protect their remaining wealth, foreign governments and individuals began aggressively buying the United States dollar. This financial reliance became permanent in 1944. Nearing the end of the Second World War, delegates from 44 allied nations met at Bretton Woods and formally agreed to peg their native currencies directly to the American dollar. By establishing the U.S. dollar as the international reserve currency, the United States ensured that the financial health of the global community was now tied directly to the stability of the American economy. After the European empires fell, America engaged the Soviet Union in a decades-long Cold War to decide which ideology, capitalism or communism, would dominate the globe. Rather than fighting Soviets directly, the American military funded and trained armed fighters in developing nations, fueling bloody proxy conflicts in places like Afghanistan to exhaust Soviet resources. The CIA intervened in the internal politics of sovereign nations, overthrowing electing governments and participating in the execution of socialist figures like Che Guevara. While dismantling threats abroad, the U.S. government crafted immigration policies designed to attract top-tier scientists, engineers, and researchers to American universities. From Albert Einstein to Satya Nadella and Elon Musk, this strategy demonstrated that the empire's scientific and cultural reach was fueled by a worldwide pool of innovation. By paralyzing ideological rivals and siphoning away the world's most promising human capital, the United States created a lead that outlasted the Cold War and secured cultural dominance well into the 21st century. In the 1990s, the Soviet Union collapsed, leaving the United States standing as the sole undisputed master of the globe. But a massive military footprint and a $20 trillion economy look very different when you examine the actual living conditions of the people maintaining that empire. Inside the country, wealth is highly concentrated. The top 1% owns over 40% of all national assets, while millions of young Americans are buried under inescapable student debt just to enter the workforce. Citizens navigate a privatized healthcare system that routinely prices people out of basic treatments, and they face a rate of daily gun violence unseen in any other developed nation. A country can possess the strongest currency, the largest military, and the biggest corporations on Earth, while still failing to provide basic human development for its own citizens.